I'm Rachel McAlpine. I was born in 1940. You do the math. And I'm learning how to be old. Today I'm the guest, literally, and Hetty Hillregal is the host, literally, because I'm staying with Hetty and Ben. We're going to talk about my own year of easy aging. That was 2015, when I got a grip on my own lifestyle and started at least 12 tiny habits. That changed my mindset and have kept me positive about old age ever since. It's only now, more than 10 years later, that I've actually made a little workbook so that if you want to do the same thing, to get ready for a fine old age later, you can. It's all ridiculously simple and easy. So listen if you might be old one day. Now, you might have noticed in other episodes that I usually say, "Hello and welcome to my podcast," in a very, an hysterical squeak. I just can't do it, I don't know, especially today. So I'm going to say it now in a calm, professional voice. Hello, Hetty.
Hello, Rachel.
Welcome to my podcast and thank you for agreeing to be my host.
You're welcome. Couldn't do much else as I was trapped in
You were trapped in the house and we negotiated barking dogs and excitable cats.
Yes, and thrushes banging into windows.
Yes, very sad.
Rachel, what got you so interested in old age?
Well, interested is a bit of an understatement, don't you think?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, it's just been I've been in my bonnet, I guess, ever since I was just before 75, which is kind of late to realise that you might be getting old, really. And it did dawn on me that perhaps I had 75%, I was a start, I was a pass, right, being a teacher. It didn't make any sense. But I asked my doctor and I did a few questionnaires to find out how old I might live. And they kept coming up with the same number, which was 98 or 99.
Wow, that's something.
That's something. Would you expect that you would live that long? Have you ever thought about it?
I have thought about it, and I have thought of 100 actually, because, I want the century.
Yes.
The cricket century. But yes.
Okay. Yeah, well, you probably thought about it more than me, but I actually was not pleased at all. I did this weird thing. I had a tantrum like a kid. I literally got on the floor and went, wah, wah, wah.
Why?
Exactly. Well, I asked myself, why? What's so bothersome about that? And I realised that was absolutely ridiculous because, lots of reasons why that might happen now. Things have changed. So, being a very practical soul, I decided I would just do something rather than nothing, try and get my ducks in a row so that I was sort of ready for aging. Because if I was going to live that long, I wanted to do it well.
You want to be a healthy ager.
Yeah, I'm a good little girl. I want to do things right. So what I did just did it all by myself and privately. A very geeky thing. I called it the boot camp for the bonus years. And
Is past 75 the bonus?
well, in my mind, I knew there would be at least some bonus years. I certainly didn't expect that much. It turned out not to be a boot camp at all. Quite the opposite. Never mind. That's what I was calling it. So off I went and I love spreadsheets and Gantt charts and that sort of thing. So I
And what was your boot camp? What did you do?
What did I do? Well, it's very overwhelming if you start to think about old age and all the things you should be doing. In fact, I looked at one website, I think it was a government one, and there were 144 tips of things you should do. And you can't do that. That's just silly.
144.
Yeah, well, that's just silly.
Yeah.
And
overwhelming.
Yeah, some people do think it's overwhelming. You've got to do, even if there's only 5 things, they're kind of huge. So I thought, well, I'll whittle it right down. I'll just do something. I'll do a little something. Big fan of B.J. Fogg's book and writings. on human behaviour and his tiny habits, free 5-day course, etc. And I mean, lots of other research since then, all saying the same thing, basically. You can't change your habits in a big scale. You do it in little bits. So I thought I'll do 1 or 2 little bits each month. See if I can start 2 or 1. 1 is enough.
What was your first one?
Well, I can't remember, but it might have been food, actually. I thought I had a pretty good diet, but all right. So my thing I went to a dietitian, had a little session with her, and she said, well, you're not eating fish or citrus or pulses. Mm-hmm. So I just decided I'd buy a little tin of sardines every time I went to the big shop, and found good ways to eat that. So that's enough, And every little habit like that, it either grows into something or it fizzles out or it changes. It doesn't matter.
Yep.
The thing is, I did it. I actually did it for a month. Mm-hmm. And then after that, I still buy sardines and eat fish, and I eat lentils and I eat oranges and things a bit more. One thing leads to another.
It does, yeah. It's like taking back your own control.
Oh, you're so right. That's exactly right. I guess the tantrum was because I felt this was out of my control, and immediately went to the worst possible scenario. But no, that taking control, that made me feel so much better. Mm. Yeah. So it was quite a big job, even though there were only little things, So I did it for the whole year and gave myself a pat on the back. That's part of the tiny habits thing.
And what was your reward?
Well, the reward for food, I'm not sure, but every single time you do it, buy the tin of sardines, you say, yay, or go and have a coffee, or Skype to the person that sells you the food, or whatever.
I'm doing this for my health. It's part of my healthy habits.
Yes. Look at me buying sardines. The reward has to come straight away, but it could just be you're saying, I'm so clever. The result. We'll talk about that, perhaps?
Yes. What was the result of your boot camp? Are you talking about a 1-year period?
A 1-year period, 12 months, 12 things, aspects of your lifestyle.
Which is like the 144 tips.
It is, if you did them all. But if you did one teeny-weeny one, then that might be 12. Mm-hmm. Yeah, 12 little things. And some of them didn't work, they didn't stick. But the overall effect, I suppose I started to feel it fairly early, but it didn't come clear in my mind till well after the year was over. And I thought it's far more than the sum of its parts. Mm-hmm. Do all these little tiny things, and thing, habit. But they don't add up. My feeling is that they multiply or they compound. It's like compound interest. Of course I'm healthy and strong and everything, but honestly, so am all my 5 sisters.
Can you think of things that they don't do?
Well, sure. They don't obsess about ageing like me. They just deal with it perfect. And we all do our own thing. Take exercise, for instance. Mine happens to include swimming and dancing, and they don't do that, my sisters, but they certainly exercise. They're running up and down stairs, running after grandchildren. 3 of them go to the gym. Leslie and Prue walk up and down hills at the speed of light. Prue does Tai Chi. As for Penny, she won't walk anywhere if she can help it. She wouldn't dream of going for a walk because she can't see the point of going for a walk. But she plays tennis 3 or 4 times a week. And by the way, we're all in our 80s and Jill is nearly 90. So in other words, we found out what we like doing and we just carry on doing it. That makes sense for anybody? Yeah. We've all got good genes and we've got that luck of being born, and when the government, we were well off as a country, so we got certain things free, like education, So that's all good luck, which means that, there's a lot of people my age walking around very healthy and strong. Okay, back to my easy aging year. What it did do for me was, like you said, it gave me a sense of control, gave me a lot more awareness. So I can spot ageism at 100 paces now, in myself mostly, you know, which I was completely unaware of, in spite of having been a feminist and being aware of all the other prejudices we've got. So there's that, and it just gave me more confidence. It made me realise I can change my habits.
Yeah.
Long ago I found out that a thought is only a thought.
It's such a great thing, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
I remember it was Louise Hay, one of her tapes, that I heard that on the first time. I thought, oh, what? You mean my thoughts aren't the only great truths in the world? But I don't have to think that way?
You mean it's not reality?
Yeah, it was very liberating.
Yeah.
And this was another liberating time for me when I realised, now I know how to start a habit and to change a bad habit. You've got to want to. If you don't want to, it won't happen.
Yeah.
But if I did want to, I could change things. So that gives you a sense of control, that it's not all about the forces all around you. And that's really important if you've always thought about old age as either something you don't even want to think about ever, or something kind of generally horrible that you'd rather die than have, you know, which is a very common way of thinking. And that's only a thought, isn't it?
It's only a thought, and it's often because you're losing so much, and without thinking that you don't have to lose all of that all at once. You can mitigate it by your healthy habits.
So, Hetty, one of the 12 lifestyle areas where, you know, I had to start a tiny habit is like stress reduction. And there's a very good reason for that. Any of the old people, really old people, like in their 90s and centenarians that I've met, they've got a very good stress control. They're not volatile or angry, and they just have ways to manage keeping calm. And in fact, stress management is a big deal for staying healthy and well. So what did I do for that? I think I had a lovely book called The 5-Minute Meditator.
Oh, I love that book. It's such a great book.
Yes. Yeah. And I think I was just doing 3 sighs, or perhaps I was just pausing at the top of the stairs, or just something that small, like get to the top of the stairs, take a breath and think, I'm going down the stairs. Yes, don't think anything else while you're going down the stairs. That's a good one. But you've done something a bit similar, haven't you?
I have. Yep, I have.
Tell me about it.
Well, I made myself a little pact that I would meditate every day, even if it's only for 5 minutes.
Yep.
And it can be any time of the day.
Yep.
But I've just got to do it. And because I have a little meditation app, and I'm up to 170 days in a row. So last night it was late and I hadn't meditated. And if I hadn't had my record breaking 170 days in a row, I would have just gone to bed.
Yeah.
But I went, well, and actually I put my little cushion outside and the night was starry and beautiful and it's nice bird sounds. And like, this is a really nice thing to do. It feels challenging to go out in the cold and wrap myself in a blanket and sit there, but it's a really nice thing to do and I know it's good for me. And so that's what I've been doing.
Yeah, so that's like, and it's a whole year, like my year of easy aging, I should say. Yeah, and so BJ Fogg and others say, you know, to set up a good habit, you need to want to do it, or it's not going to happen. It's not going to stick. And we both wanted to do our things, and then you need to choose one little thing. He says like 30 seconds, which might grow. Yours is 5 minutes, exactly. And then you need a sort of trigger or alert, something that alerts you to do it. And in fact, for you, it's your app.
It's my app, but also the dog, because the dog likes to come and sit with me out there. So she starts patting my leg and looking at me in the evening. So she's my little guru.
Yes, okay, so that's, good dog, right? And then you need to give yourself a reward straight afterwards. I mean, it becomes intrinsic, of course. You're satisfied. You're obviously very pleased that you haven't broken your streak, yes.
But the reward is actually just being out there,
exactly.
actually.
I understand completely. And I suppose my reward for going down the stairs without thinking of anything else is that when I get to the bottom of the stairs, I don't think, why did I come downstairs? I know, or else I'm calm, at least. Yeah, that's a very good example.
I do another little habit.
Okay.
Which is whenever I go and pick up my halter to get my horse in, I always stop and breathe and put my feet on the ground. Go, okay, don't be thinking this is what I'm going to do with my horse. Is this boring?
No.
Don't be thinking what you're going to do or what the plan is. Just stay exactly in the moment and then walk down, look at him, observe all around. It's a great feeling of just being in the moment rather than planning what I'm going to do.
Yeah, that's a beautiful example, and it is like a habit. You decided to do it, you decided when you do it, that you do it every time.
My trigger is holding the halter. So as soon as I hold that rope, it's like, oh, yep, that's right.
And the reward is there immediately anyway. Yeah, we're all trying to be more mindful, but attaching it to a particular moment or event, something that happens regularly, it's the only way for me it's going to stick.
Yeah.
Because good intentions are one thing, human nature's quite another.
Isn't it though?
Yeah.
I just see your movement is incredible. I know 50-year-olds who can't move like you, and it's because you do. I mean, you do all those things. You live those habits.
Yes.
That's who you are now.
Yeah, the doing is the thing. The joining the gym is nothing.
Yeah.
But the going along twice a week is a big deal.
And then making those connections at the gym, which...
Yeah. It's a very social place.
It's a very social place.
And it makes you think, yeah. So I do think I've got a lot more confidence. And, of course, in the process, I became very fascinated by the whole thing about ageing, and so that kind of gave me a bit of a mission. I've been writing and thinking and podcasting and reading and about old age and the aging process ever since.
Yeah.
And that's been absolutely fascinating. When you think of something that we didn't want to think about, how you'd just basically rather be young.
But that's not going to happen, is it?
No, it's not going to happen. You get the idea. So I think I've got a lot more clarity and found something I can do for other people, which is cheer them up and help to change their attitudes if they want it changed. And that a feeling that I can cope, I can probably cope. I am a Pollyanna, but no doubt about it. It's tricky, yeah.
But what I find interesting about your booklet?
The booklet, yes.
Yes.
It's called Yay.
Yay.
Your Easy Aging Year, because it was so not a boot camp. It was so easy.
Yeah.
Carry on, you're allowed to finish a sentence now.
I think that is helpful for everybody.
You reckon?
Yes. Yeah, I don't think you have to be... I think everybody could benefit from looking at that and making their own changes. I don't think you have to be old. You're limiting yourself, Rachel.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, the fact is, of course, I'm only getting around to sort of writing it down and so that other people could use it that's 10, 11 years ago.
Wow.
And I think I was kind of shy about it because just because it suits me doesn't mean to say it would suit other people, and it's a bit geeky. But the results just stay with me, and after 10 years I think I can safely say that was a very good thing to do. Even if I didn't have a single one of those particular habits, even if I stopped eating sardines and started eating tuna, still that was so valuable just to have that time of quietly changing my habits.
Yeah. And it seems as though there's a tiny amount of shame attached to ageing, which is like you're taking away the shame and saying, well, here it is, this is it, this is what's happening, this is me, and this is what I'm doing to be the best that I can be. It's kind of like menopause. Everybody's embarrassed about it, and yet, it just happens.
Yes.
So
And good things come out of it. It's not just... one thing that strikes me is that I probably thought that life was just tailing off when I was 75. I do strike that in a lot of people who are even younger, like 60 or something, and who are basically thinking, well, I've lived my life and now I'm just rolling down the hill or something.
The best bits are all gone.
But we're still alive.
Yeah.
That is one of the main things, that we're alive and there's very good things in life. I mean, a lot of people do this naturally. They start focusing on little things that they can really enjoy and give up apologising for themselves or trying to please other people. Oh, that's nice, yeah. But that was my way, and it's out there for people who want to give it a go. Yeah.
Well, I love it. As I say, I think it's a good blueprint for everybody.
Thank you, Hetty. So that was the lovely Hetty. Whenever she can get a word in edgeways, she says very interesting things. Now, obviously, Hetty's a lot younger than me, being my daughter-in-law, but she is a great example of a healthy, happy human who is learning how to be old. Her way, her own way. Now, that reminds me to give a disclaimer, which applies to all the episodes on learning how to be old. I'm not a doctor, scientist, psychologist, gerontologist, neurologist, statistician, trainer, life coach, physiotherapist, or any sort of authority. I'm just me. I'm just an old woman and a writer. Of course, some of my guests are experts in their field, but even they are just chatting with me informally, so please take their words and my words in context as ideas to think about and talk about with your friends or your own advisors or GP. Because I'm just a friend on your phone, a friend in your pocket, chatting to you from the land of old age. Now, if you'd like a copy of my tiny little workbook for your easy aging year, yay, you can get one. Like the Easy Aging Year, the workbook is extremely simple. At the very least, it's a good read that could make you think a new thought. How to get your hands on that little workbook? Details will be in the show notes. So that's all, well, nearly all. Are you ready for the next phase of life? You might be thinking about which aspects of your own lifestyle you could tackle first with a tiny habit. People, exercise or food, health, rest or attitude, brain, hobbies or purpose, stress, mess or excess. And I wonder what you think about this saying that I read the other day, sustainable beats perfect every time. A tiny habit is easier to sustain than deciding to be perfect. Anyway, that's all. I'm done. I'm Rachel McAlpine, and I'd like to be your new old friend. Thanks for listening. Bye now.